What's going on, everyone? Climate Data Report here with today's weather forecast outlook video for the next 48 to 72 hours, and we will do a couple long-range things as well. But most importantly, we got to talk about a severe weather threat that for today and tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be the big severe weather day. As you can see here on infrared satellite, we do have our boundary now set up from Texas through portions of Oklahoma, Kansas, Iowa, Missouri, straight on through Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, and even Pennsylvania. And this is a pretty large boundary. There's multiple waves of energy riding along this boundary. Let's take a look at the national radar picture. You can see there's one back here around Missouri. There's another one that's going through Ohio right now. There's a piece of energy pushing through eastern Pennsylvania. The one that's in Ohio right now actually has some elevated convection with it. You can see some lightning strikes are showing up here on radar. Nothing in terms of severe weather, but there is some lightning with this and some heavy downpours. Taking a look here at the national hazards map, and it's a fairly active day. We have flood watches that are up from portions of Oklahoma straight on through to Ohio and even West Virginia, right along the Ohio-West Virginia border. 2 to 4 inches of rainfall is expected. There could be localized areas of 5+ inches of rain where training really gets going. We did have a tornado yesterday in California, and they also confirmed a tornado from Tuesday as well. But let's look at yesterday's tornado. In Los Angeles County, California, southwest Montebello, there was a EF1 tornado with winds that peaked at 110 miles per hour. 17 structures were damaged. 11 of those were significantly damaged. So this is pretty serious. Moving on to today's forecast from the Storm Prediction Center, a slight risk of severe weather is up from Texas, central Texas, in through Oklahoma and portions of Arkansas. And then there is a marginal risk surrounding that. Tornado is 2% today. Wind is at 5% today. Hail is the biggest threat, which will be in central Texas and central Oklahoma. Tomorrow is the more significant day. The National Weather Service Storm Prediction Center has now added a moderate risk for portions of Louisiana, southeast Arkansas, and a good portion of western Mississippi. In this area, not only is hail and wind likely, there is a significant threat for strong tornadoes. Let's take a look at this here. There is a hatched area, which means significant tornadoes are expected, and tornado threat is now up to 15%. This is not the first time we've seen this year, and this is one of the better looking setups because the initial thunderstorms with this setup are essentially going to be discrete, meaning they will not be in a line format. And the fact that they're going to initialize as discrete before becoming a line, that means they could contain significant rotation. We could see some decent supercells and hook echoes on radar. So yeah, tomorrow is a pretty serious day. Also, there is a 30% chance of wind damage, which is hatched. Wouldn't surprise me if that gets up to 45%. We'll just have to wait and see what happens. And of course, there is 15% chance of hail. But really tomorrow, our biggest concern is tornadoes, wind, then hail would come in third place. Taking a look here at the Weather Prediction Center, here's what we want. The Weather Prediction Center is going with a large swath of heavy rainfall, generally from Oklahoma up through Missouri, with a jackpot in eastern Missouri, southern Illinois, and southern Indiana of localized 4 to 6 inches of rainfall. That's what this orange shade is. Locally, 4 to 6 inches of rainfall. So this is really impressive here. And as you can see, even in western Pennsylvania, you're talking at least 1.5 to 2 inches of rain, with locally 2 to 3 inches of rain near West Virginia. Let's take a look at the HRRR model, shall we? And on the HRRR model, what we'll see, this is the 12Z run from this morning. The showers do continue along the boundary as they ride, and even some thunderstorms. You will see some thunder and lightning at time. Here's tonight as we get into the overnight hours, and you can see some stronger thunderstorms do get going across Oklahoma. Some cells start to pop around Texas, and you do have some heavy rainmakers in southern Indiana, Illinois, and southeast Missouri. 1 or 2 of those storms could be severe Not too concerned about the severe threat there. It's mainly the heavy rainfall threat for today. As I continue to advance this, you can see a line tries to get going in Texas. That falls apart. And now we are going to change the view on this, because this is what I really want you to see. Here's the southeast view. Watch what happens. We're coming into tomorrow afternoon. Rain continues along the boundary through Kentucky, West Virginia, and portions of Maryland. But watch what happens tomorrow afternoon. Here we are at 23Z, or tomorrow evening, I should say. We do have all these discrete cells that start popping in Arkansas, Louisiana, and any one of these, because the shear environment is very impressive tomorrow, as is the instability. There's going to be CAPE values near 2000. And for those that don't know what that means, when you have the sun coming out in a warm, moist environment, it destabilizes the atmosphere. The higher the CAPE value, the more energy that can be unleashed in the atmosphere. And that is definitely going to be present tomorrow. Couple that with strong shear, and this is a pretty serious setup. As I continue to advance this, you can see you have multiple segments here out ahead of the main squall line. And you can see some of these segments within the squall line itself. There's some bow echoes, so that's some really damaging winds. And look at this here. You have multiple cell clusters, even continuing into the nighttime hours as this heads into Mississippi. North of that, look what gets going here. You have a vigorous squall line that's going to blow right through Kentucky and at least central Tennessee as a very strong squall line. It may even form into a QLS, which stands for quasi-linear convective system, but the initial supercell discrete thunderstorm mode that I'm concerned about, you can see here on the southern flank of this, it tries to stay discrete and doesn't really become an organized squall line until it reaches central Mississippi. And even at that, you still have individual supercells here. So any one of these could contain a tornado. Some of them could be strong tornadoes. Some of them could be long-lived tornadoes. On the north flank of this, you continue to have the squall line, which is going to blow eastward. And as we get into, say, midnight Saturday morning, the threat for a tornado still exists in Alabama. It's not as great. This will shift over to more of a wind threat for you, but again, you can't rule out an isolated tornado there as well. And as we get into Saturday, this, as you see here, it blows into Georgia. It really weakens and falls apart. It loses its punch. There could be still one or two severe thunderstorm warnings for wind. Another thing I want to look at here that I don't usually show you, but I'm going to show you today. This is the significant tornado parameter, otherwise known as STP. Take a look at these values. Any of these pink and purple values, that's values of 8. That is very unstable atmosphere and a very ripe atmosphere for tornadoes. This is one of the most impressive setups for significant tornado parameter that we have seen yet this year. Let's also take a look at the surface-based instability. And on a surface-based instability, you can see here, look what happens in eastern Texas. The CAPE goes over 2000. As you can see here in all of Louisiana, or most of it anyhow, 1500 to 2000 CAPE. Couple that with the shear. Let's take a look at a shear map. You can see very impressive helicity and shear amounts. This is going to be a very impressive setup tomorrow. And if you live in this area, pay close attention to this forecast. It's possible we see a particularly dangerous situation watch issued tomorrow. I don't think we've seen any of them issued so far this year, but tomorrow it's likely we could see one. So just pay close attention to this forecast. One more model I want to show you. Here's the FE3 model, and look what it does tomorrow. It also has supercell thunderstorms ahead of the main squall line down in Louisiana. As I advance this, the squall line continues east. It weakens as it hits Georgia and South Carolina, though, like I said, there could be an isolated warning or two for wind. Look at the north side of the system. Northern Michigan, yes, you are going to see heavy snow. New England, yes, you are going to see a mix of snow changing over to rain with this system. Now let's take a look at the longer range here. I got the 6C GFS up here for next Wednesday. Yes, your eyes are not deceiving you. This is another coastal system off the coast of New England. Now, it is east on this run, but if I backtrack it here to previous runs, look what happens here. Some runs are showing snow. Some runs are showing it very close to the coast. This one shows the storm being over Baltimore. So yes, this is something we have to watch. And it is being supported by the ensembles. Here's the Zero Z European ensemble from last night. Look where the mean has the low. Has it east of Long Island and New Jersey. Though be it it's pretty far east, there are a ton of members. Look at these red members here. There are a ton of members that have a western track here. And it's something we're going to have to watch going into next week. I kind of teased about it on Twitter yesterday, saying it's not likely, but the ensembles are showing it now. So it's something we'll have to watch. If the signal stays, say, come Saturday or Sunday, then yes, it's something we have to consider. There would be another nor'easter with rain for probably along I-95 corridor, and someone would see snow out of this. Now, be it it's going to be almost April, so you need it to be nighttime to get a significant amount of snow, but you can get accumulated snow at this time of the year. So if you live in the Northeast, pay close attention to the forecast. Another nor'easter is possible. Finally, let's take a look here at the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook. Below average temperatures are going to continue in the west and in the northeast as well, especially if that nor'easter happens. Temperatures would definitely be below average. Taking a look at the south, above average for you. You're going to see temperatures in Florida possibly in the 90s this weekend. You heard me correctly. Possible 90s in Florida this weekend. So that's good if you're a spring breaker and you really want some warm weather. 8 to 14 day outlook. Below average in all the northern states, the west coast, the northeast, near normal for Kentucky and Tennessee and through Texas. Above average continues in Florida. Finally, taking a look at precipitation. Above average continues in California. This might be a little bit overdone because the big system from yesterday is gone and this is not updated yet. Although you're still going to see showery conditions. It's not a perfect picture. You're not really going to dry out much. Above average precipitation for Tennessee, Kentucky, back in through Texas. Don't worry, Texas. Unfortunately, it's not going to put a big dent into your drought, nor is this on the 8 to 14 day outlook. Tennessee through Kentucky, really wet times for you, even in Alabama and Mississippi. Near normal in the plains, slightly above average in the west. Northeast, slightly above average. Of course, that changes dramatically if the nor'easter does, in fact, happen. Alrighty, so the big deal is tomorrow is going to be a very significant severe day for portions of eastern Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Arkansas, and extreme southeast Oklahoma. The threat, even for wind, it's in Tennessee and Kentucky now. You need to pay attention to the forecast as well. Your tornado threat, say from Tennessee up into Kentucky, it's less than Louisiana, but it can't be ruled out. There definitely will be a tornado or two up in your area. So pay close attention to the forecast tomorrow. Hopefully local officials make the right move and close things early tomorrow in Louisiana. The worst time frame is going to be any time between 5 and midnight from Louisiana into Mississippi. That's when the tornado threat is really going to be dangerous. And the fact that it's going to be turning into nighttime and you're talking supercells with potential strong tornadoes, you want to make sure you have your weather radio at the ready in case you go under a tornado warning or a tornado emergency. There'll be a couple of them tomorrow as well, which basically means a strong, confirmed, large and dangerous tornadoes on the ground. Alrighty, we'll probably have another short update later on in the day. We will definitely have multiple updates on this tomorrow with this severe situation. If you like this video, hit the like button down below. If you want to see more content like this, subscribe to my channel down below. And thanks for watching. Stay safe, everyone, and start preparing now.